We are starting with the state versus Hannah Gutierrez, sometimes called Hannah Gutierrez Reed. Depending on the court filings you see, I wonder if she dropped the Reed, her stepfather's name, because Theo Reed is a very well-known armorer. He's on this witness list. We will see what happens. So, in this case, the thing I am looking for the most is to find out how live rounds got onto this movie set. This criminal prosecution stems from the fatal shooting of Helena Hutchins, the cinematographer on the movie, by Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin's trial date has not been set yet. The court said that they are going to set the trial date on Monday, and that should be set for the summer, June, July. This trial will give us a lot of information about this case that we don't know and about what's going to happen when Alec Baldwin goes to trial in the summer. Because what Alec Baldwin's attorney said at the last court hearing was, let's go. Let's go now. So we will see that trial in the summer. They are charged with the same things, except Hannah Gutierrez is also charged with evidence tampering due to some alleged cocaine that was in her pocket on the movie set that day. Because after the shooting happened, she went from the movie set to the police car to the police station for an interview back to her hotel. And it is alleged by the prosecution that she then gave that to someone. So if they searched her room or whatever, it wouldn't be found. So we will see what happens with that. That's what's being tried. Did they recover the cocaine and chemically test it? I don't know. Did she admit that that's what it was? I don't know. We have a lot of questions in this case. The state is alleging that Hannah Gutierrez is the one who brought live rounds onto the set, and in fact, that they have pictures of her holding live ammunition 12 days before this fatal shooting. We know from the OSHA report, and the OSHA report won't be evidence, but it'll be used by defense experts later in the trial. This set was unsafe. There had been misfires on the guns earlier. The camera crew walked off because of safety concerns. There was no video village, so they couldn't see what was going on in the church at the time. Hannah Gutierrez Reed was not in the church at the time of the fatal shooting. There's a lot that we don't know about this case. There was no preliminary hearing. Hannah Gutierrez waived preliminary hearing. We've seen some motions, but not a ton. And we've also seen some sealing orders. So what had happened earlier in trial is the defense was making a motion to dismiss because one of the key witnesses in this case had gotten a hold of the cell phone dump from Hannah Gutierrez's cell phone. The defense agreed for the cell phone of Hannah Gutierrez to be searched, not a search warrant. They agreed. It was a consent search of the cell phone. So the law enforcement dumped the cell phone. That got turned over to prosecution. Apparently, there are text messages there between her and her attorneys. The attorneys never said, hey, there's conversations in here. The judge said to the defense attorneys at the last court hearing that I covered, that's on you. So you should have done your job, and it's not on the prosecution. But one of the key witnesses in this case, Seth Kinney from PDQ Arm and Prop, did a public information records request and got all of those text messages. So the state let him know, hey, don't read the ones between her and her attorney. But the defense is real pissed that one of the key witnesses in this case, who was not charged, the person from the prop house was not charged in this case. One of the key witnesses in this case has those text messages. So hopefully we will get some answers in this trial. The judge, what I anticipate this morning is when the jury comes in, they're going to hear the opening instructions. Then they're going to hear opening statements. Then we're going to get right into witnesses before lunch. This morning in the Hannah Gutierrez Reed trial, we heard opening statements from the prosecution and the defense attorney, and the beginning of the first witness, who was the first law enforcement officer on scene, was rendering aid to the victim Helena Hutchins and Joel Souza, and was arranging for the life flights. That's what happened this morning in court. The prosecution argued that 12 days before the shooting, you could see that there were live rounds on set loaded into other items, loaded into other props, and that Hannah Gutierrez was reckless on set. She was negligent in doing her duty, and that witnesses will come in and talk about the fact that ammo was everywhere, that live rounds were intermingling with the dummy rounds, and that She handed off what's presumed to be cocaine to a coworker who she didn't even know that well, and that's why there's an evidence tampering charge. The defense opening statement, which many in the chat found to be more persuasive, argued that this set was a mess, that the superiors were not doing their job, that Rust Production purchased really crap dummy rounds that look exactly like live rounds, and they're not so easily distinguished. They can't be shaken. They don't have holes in them. And the primer at the back of the round looks exactly the same as the live bullets. And Hannah Gutierrez Reed was doing the best she could with the time she had, but that she didn't have enough time to do her job as armorer. And she was raising that red flag. They also said in their opening statement, news that we have not heard before, that shortly after the shooting on set, that the prop master, Sarah Zachary, was in conversation with the head of the prop house, Seth Kinney from PDQ Arm and Prop. Neither of these individuals have been charged, but Hannah Gutierrez Reed sued both of them in a suit that's since settled. And after that conversation, the defense is alleging that Sarah Zachary was taking bullets out of the weapons on the prop cart and moving boxes of ammo and throwing things away, and that law enforcement never looked into it. I think the defense opening statement poked a lot of holes into what the prosecution had to say, and it will be very interesting to see this case. This is going to be a case where we might not know which way this jury is going to go until the very end, because the defense experts are going to be very interesting to hear. That OSHA report came up a lot in the defense opening statement about the failures on set, the failures of production, and the fact that Rust Production was fined the largest fine ever in the state. We're in the afternoon session of day one of the state versus Hannah Gutierrez, the armorer on the set of Rust, where Helena Hutchins was fatally shot by Alec Baldwin. The question outstanding in this trial is going to be, how did a live round get on set? And based on opening statements this morning, there are going to be some vast differences of opinion as to how live ammo got on set. It's uncontroverted that live ammo got on set. It was recovered from Joel Souza's shoulder when he had surgery after he was shot. This afternoon, we have seen body cam footage of the scene. There were over 200 people at the movie set, 3 officers, and it is a mess as they are trying to herd the people that were inside the church into one area, the people that weren't inside the church in another area. The production company's lawyer is there. The owner of the ranch is there asking about insurance. The officers, in their conversation, it has become very clear that Alec Baldwin is the one who pulled the trigger. They've separated out Hannah Gutierrez into one of the police vehicles. They've separated out the gun that Baldwin had, the ammo, and Baldwin himself. We have not seen him on the body cam yet. He has been elsewhere on scene, and they are trying to secure the scene. They are trying to secure the evidence, and people are moving all over the place. But it is clear that the information being relayed is that Baldwin pulled the trigger and shot Helena Hutchins, that went through her and hit Joel Souza. Hannah Gutierrez is freaking out to the point where they sent medical over to her because she was having a panic attack after everything was going on. You could see it on body cam as they're getting the life flight helicopter there and then trying to get Helena Hutchins stable enough to be life flighted out to the hospital. You can see Hannah deteriorating into freaking out. The thing that was very strange from all of this testimony this afternoon is that when the officer recovered the weapon that was used by Alec Baldwin and safety checked it, it was empty. We heard in the defense opening statement this morning the allegation that Sarah Zachary, the prop master, emptied the gun and threw what was in the gun away. But the gun was emptied, and that piece of information is very interesting. So we will see what happens, and if we find out who the emptied the weapon used to shoot someone. Because even though Helena she's not stable at the scene, but you know that this gun has been used to shoot someone. Who's emptying it? And it doesn't seem that Hannah did. For deep dives into the stories that I covered here, you can find them on my YouTube channel at The Emily D. Baker and The Emily Show podcast. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday. The podcast goes live on Wednesdays. And if you want to stay in the loop with everything I'm doing, receive the fastest notifications out there, and get more Law Nerd community, join me at lawnerdapp.com, our free app for iOS and Android.